Hi everyone. So in the last two videos, I first introduced my claim that integrative thinking produces emotional intelligence. And then I explained why that relationship exists. And as I had promised, today I am presenting my full framework that explains how integrative thinking produces emotional intelligence. But before we go into the framework itself, we need to briefly touch upon the foundation behind all of this. Because to understand any framework, we need to understand its starting point. And why do we even need this framework? So let's start there. All around the world, emotional intelligence is taking a center stage across multiple domains of the society. Whether it's in your personal life and relationships, or it's in your workplace where the EI market is growing extremely fast, or the fact that emotional intelligence is becoming a core differentiator in the age of AI. It's no longer just about being emotionally intelligent for your partner. It's genuinely a career and a survival skill now. But the problem is that while the demand is growing, the way emotional intelligence is currently taught doesn't fully match the requirements of this growing demand. Most people, from influencers to psychologists, describe emotional intelligence either as empathy, or as self-awareness, or as the ability to manage emotions. But as I explained in the last video, these are behaviors, and behavior is an output of your thinking style. These behaviors of emotional intelligence don't appear randomly. They emerge from a specific type of thinking process. And that thinking process is integrative thinking. Therefore, my claim is simple. Integrative thinking produces emotional intelligence. But to understand how exactly it does produce emotional intelligence, we need to understand the structure behind it. So in today's video, I'll give you the exact structure that explains how integrative thinking produces emotional intelligence. The structure has 3 layers. Each layer leads to the next. And together, all the 3 layers build the entire mechanism behind emotional intelligence. So using my signature 3P framework, I'll walk you through each layer one by one. Let's begin. Now a little disclaimer before we begin. You will find the beginning a bit theoretical, but bear with me, because I will never leave you at just the theory. I will give you an actual real life example to help you understand the theory in practical applications of your life. But until then, just stay with me in the process. So everything starts with how you think. Even before you feel anything, before emotions arise, and before you react to those emotions, your mind has already formed an understanding of the situation in front of you. And exactly at this stage, integrative thinking enters the picture. Integrative thinking is a cognitive mechanism where the mind is able to hold multiple interpretations of a situation at the same time. Instead of reacting to the very first judgment that comes to the mind, it expands those interpretations into their full range of possibilities, which means it explores both the best case and the worst case extremes of that situation. And once that full range has been explored, it brings those possibilities together into one unified understanding before you respond. Now, why am I saying to explore the full range of possibilities? When your mind can see the full range of a situation, it stops reacting from the very first judgment your mind made when you encountered that situation. If your understanding of the situation is narrow, your interpretation of that situation becomes narrow. And therefore, your emotional reactions based on that understanding becomes narrow. But when you explore the full range, your understanding becomes wider. And when your understanding becomes wider, your emotional reactions become more stable. This is why integrative thinking is the foundation. It expands the input before the output is released. Now let me give you a real-life example. Imagine you walk into a room and meet someone for the first time. Now generally, majority of the people have the habit of making an instant judgment. You might look at one detail, like the person's tone, expression, or silence, and your mind instantly jumps to form an opinion. Like, they're too serious, or that this person looks intimidating, arrogant, or shy. Now, this is your first interpretation, but this is exactly you reacting from a narrow understanding of the situation or the person. In fact, this is exactly why the advice that first impression is the last impression is one of the most inaccurate pieces of advice you can receive. It encourages you to freeze your understanding at the narrowest and least informed moment of an interaction. Integrative thinking doesn't stop at the first impression. You don't decide who they are based on one expression, one sentence, or just one moment. Instead, you stop your mind and you explore the full range of the situation. On one end of the spectrum, you consider the softer possibilities, like maybe they're just tired, or they're having a long day, or that maybe they are naturally quiet, or maybe they are simply observing. On the other end of the spectrum, you consider the harsher possibilities. Maybe they are arrogant, they are unfriendly, or they are not interested in talking, or maybe they genuinely prefer to keep their distance. And even now, you're still not choosing between these versions. You're simply mapping the full range. And once you've seen both ends, one thing becomes extremely clear to you. You don't know this person yet. One moment is not enough information for me to define them. And that realization right there becomes your stable point. Therefore, you give the person or the situation more space. You let the person reveal themselves over time. And because your understanding is wide, your emotional reaction becomes stable. Now that is integrative thinking in real life. It's not about being positive or negative. It's simply not letting one moment decide the whole story. Now when your thinking expands, your emotions stabilize. And this is where emotional intelligence enters the framework. Let me show you how. So most people think that emotional intelligence begins with the way emotions are expressed or managed. But this is not the stage where emotional intelligence begins. This is the stage where emotional intelligence becomes visible. Why? Because emotions emerge from how you interpret a situation. And interpretation comes from how you think. So when your thinking becomes integrative, your emotional reactions become stable. This is how emotional intelligence begins to emerge. Not because you control your emotions, but because your emotions are now forming from a broader and more integrated understanding of the situation. This is the second layer of the framework. This is how integrative thinking produces emotional intelligence. Integrative thinking changes how reality is understood, and how reality is understood changes how reality is felt. Integrative thinking stops you from taking any emotional shortcuts. It stops you from reacting to the first judgment your mind creates. And when you don't react impulsively, you make clearer decisions, you communicate better, and you handle complex situations without emotionally collapsing. Now that your thinking is integrative and your emotions are stable, the final layer is how this shows up in your actions. Most people think that emotional intelligence is how you behave. But behavior is actually where the entire process reveals itself. It's the final output of the thinking and emotional processes underneath. When your emotions are stable, your actions stop coming from random assumptions or defensiveness. Because integrative thinking stabilizes your emotions, and your behavior ultimately reflects that emotional stability. And it's not because someone forced you to change your behavior, but because the layers underneath that behavior changed first. And it's an important distinction. The goal of the framework is not to change behavior directly. The goal is to develop the thinking process that produces the behavior. Because when layer 1 improves, the layer 2 improves. And when the layer 2 improves, layer 3 follows naturally. And this is what is called intelligent behavior, the behavioral expression of emotional stability. So layer 3 is simple. When your thinking becomes integrative and your emotions become stable, your behavior becomes intelligent by default. Not forced, not performed, just the natural result of the first two layers working together. And this completes my full framework, which says that integrative thinking produces emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence ultimately expresses itself through intelligent behavior. So, time to bring the entire framework together. Integrative thinking shapes how you think. How you think shapes how you feel. How you feel shapes how you act. And these three layers together form emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence is the result of a deeper cognitive process. And that deeper cognitive process is integrative thinking. Because when your thinking becomes integrative, your emotions become stable. And when your emotions become stable, your behavior becomes intelligent. That is the mechanism. And with this video, I finally presented my full framework behind my claim that integrative thinking produces emotional intelligence. And this framework is now part of the public record. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep building a better you.